Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to simply review the Adidas Powerlift 3 shoes that I have. I will try to put some workout clips of me doing things that relate to how these would actually work in the gym, but I kind of just wanted to talk about how they've been working with me so far, since I've been able to use them several times since I've gotten them. I had them at least a week, if not two. I forget exactly how long I've been using them because I had a couple of days where I had the flu, and those days are a blur because I had the flu. But I've used them several different times for squats, front squats, Olympic lifts, and benching, and even I tried them with deadlifts once. I will say that Olympic shoes, they don't work well for deadlifts, and that should be obvious because you're leaning forward and it kind of will mess up your levers for, I would assume, for most people. But for squats, front squats, and Olympic lifts, I really like them. They're very comfortable, just as a shoe. They're very comfortable, and just to wear and walk around, they fit very nicely. They tie, there's no issues with the shoelaces. There's a strap on the top, and that lets you get the shoe a bit tighter once you tie the shoelaces. I do really like that. And that kind of keeps the shoelaces from getting in the way because you can put them under the strap when you strap them in, which is really nice as well. And once they're on and just like landing on them stuff, it's very sturdy. I haven't used other Olympic shoes, so this is the first pair of Olympic shoes I've used, but the heel is very hard, and I don't feel like it's squishy at all. That's a very bad way to describe that, not a very creative way, but I think you all know what I mean. It's a very solid bottom, and I'm still getting used to just wearing an Olympic shoe in general. I think that's most of the that if there were to be an issue with the shoe, that would be the only thing. It's just I'm just not frankly used to using them yet because I'm a little bit, you have the heel with it, so you're a little bit leaned forward with it and kind of getting used to kind of pushing into the shoe more. And there's not really too many downsides of it. It's the only thing is if well, it's just not good for deadlifts. And I would say that when I first started using it, for anyone that's using any type of Olympic shoe, not even just one specifically, but really trying to feel your heel. It's kind of a weird thing to think about, but when I wear my Chucks and I do squats or whatever, any sort of Olympic movement or front squats or back squats or anything like that, I could really feel what my heel was doing because it was a lot closer to the ground, and just the nature of the shoe, you could really feel what your heel was doing a lot more. And I would say that's a downside of this, is that you don't really feel your heel as much, and that could just be because of the hard bottom. That could just be an Olympic shoe thing in general, but it's something, if you do a shoe like this or any sort of Olympic shoe, that it's probably better to be a little more pay a little bit more attention to what your heel's doing, because I noticed that I never had an issue with my heel coming off the ground, but I noticed that my heel would kind of do that sometimes if I wasn't really focusing on staying back, and I think that's partially because it kind of has you lean forward more when you initially start using it. So I never really had to think about keeping my heels down, and now I kind of do a little bit, but now that I've used them a couple times, I'm kind of getting the feel for it, and I assume as I use them more, I'll get a feel for it. But these in particular were, for me, $70, and I think they jumped back up in price. But if you search Amazon, you might be able to find a similar pair, because this is the third version, and the second and first I looked about the same, but I just randomly found these. They were like $68 plus tax, so it was just under $70. So they're a bit of a steal, and it's a pretty good deal for these kind of shoes. And I haven't had any, I haven't had them long enough to have any wear or tear issues with them, but essentially I only will use them for Olympic lifts, front squats, and maybe bench as well. And that's actually probably where I'll end the video, is talking about how it works with actually bench stuff. If you are someone that's like me, and when you arch on the bench or when you use your leg drive and you push through your heels, I find that actually using any sort of, using these Olympic shoes, since these are the only ones I have, using Olympic shoes versus Chucks is actually a little bit better. With the nature of the bottom of these shoes, it's a lot sturdier. You're a lot more connected to the ground, and your foot doesn't really shift around as much as it would if you're just wearing something as simple as Chucks. So I do like that more. You're a lot more connected to the ground, and the grips on the bottom keeps you a lot more sturdier. And because I'm someone, when I bench, I push through my heel and I have my foot flat, having that heel down makes it a little bit easier to push a little bit. It wasn't dramatic because I used my Chucks today just because I had them on for deadlifts for bench, and it wasn't like a world of difference, but I definitely feel a little bit of a difference. I mean, it's only a little bit of a heel, so it's not going to radically change anything. But if you're someone that pushes through your heel with a bench, that's another thing to consider, is how Olympic shoes may be beneficial to that. And I'm thinking if I were to do use these for a powerlifting type competition or a powerlifting competition, I would wear these for my next one that I do. But I'll probably wear these for squats and bench for sure, and then just switch to chucks for deadlifts, because if you ever try to use Olympic shoes for deadlifts, it just essentially just makes the weight heavier because you just don't have as good as levers with it, and it kind of allows me to empathize a little bit, or sympathize, depending on which one, I forget. I'm not going to try to think of the difference right now, but it allows me to kind of relate to people who don't have very good levers for deadlifts, because I'm someone that is just genetically just able to have good levers when I deadlift. I have a good posterior chain as far as, you know, all the hamstrings and butt and back and all of that shenanigans, so I never really had any issues with my form so much, other than just my back grounding. But it wasn't as if out of the three, that was the most natural and the easiest one for me to learn. But when I had the Olympic shoes on, it was definitely like just regressing a lot, and it was kind of weird. But I don't have the issues with when I'm doing like clean jerks or snatches or anything, just because the lights are very sub-maximal as far as what my deadlift would normally be. So I don't have any issues with the heel as far as that goes. But I really recommend these shoes. I held off for a while getting Olympic shoes just because I didn't want to buy any more stuff. I feel like with fitness stuff, once you start buying a couple things, you start buying a lot of things, and I can certainly say that's been the case for me. But like I said, I'll put a link down below if you're curious about checking these out more. I did talk about these briefly in a previous video, but I kind of wanted to go a little bit more in depth. And I mean, it's hard to go super in depth. I mean, they're just a shoe, and it's not going to radically change your life, but it does make Olympic lifting a little bit easier. If you're someone that has any interest in doing those sort of things, I definitely recommend it for that. And if you just need a lifting shoe for squats and whatnot, I'd highly recommend it. It's very comfortable just as a shoe, but definitely not for deadlifts. You get something else for that. I would highly recommend Chuck, just any sort of Chuck Taylor type shoe, just because those are flat and won't mess up your levers like these do a little bit. But like I said, I'll put these in the description down below, so if you want to check them out, you can. Let me know, I guess, any thoughts or comments you have about these. That would be pretty simple and straightforward video with this. And yeah, so that's about it. So as always, thanks for watching and have a wonderful day. Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to simply review the Adidas Powerlift 3 shoes that I have. I will try to put some workout clips of me doing things that relate to how these would actually work in the gym, but I kind of just wanted to talk about how they've been working with me so far, since I've been able to use them several times since I've gotten them. I had them at least a week, if not two. I forget exactly how long I've been using them, because I had a couple of days where I had the flu, and those days are a blur because I had the flu. But I've used them several different times for squats, front squats, Olympic lifts, and benching, and even I tried them with deadlifts once. I will say that Olympic shoes, they don't work well for deadlifts, and that should be obvious.